Stephen II was succeeded by Bela II, also known as the Blind. But it has been said that his wife Helena was the one that actually ruled the realm. She soon called an assembly of nobles and other leading personages at the town of Arad. She then had those that she found responsible for her husband's blinding killed, and the survivors of the massacres fled and turned to help to a certain Boris in the Kievan Rus. Boris was the son of Koloman's second wife, Euphemia of Kiev. Soon after their marriage, Koloman caught Euphemia in adultery, and she was sent back home. The next year she bore a son, Boris. Now, supported by the nobility, who decided to overlook his possible birth out of wedlock, Boris tried to seize the throne several times. First, he tried it with the help of King Boleslav III of Poland in 1132, but he failed. Meanwhile, Bela II's military efforts had again recovered a part of Dalmatia from Venice in 1136, and next year the armies of the realm of Saint Stephen went on a campaign in Bosnia. That led to Bela declaring himself King of Rama, a title which had never before existed, had no land attached to it, but it was used to claim the entirety of Bosnia. But the title of King of Rama stuck all the way until 1918. It was, however, relegated to the etc. part of the titles of the kings of Hungary, and not really emphasized. Near the end of his life, Bela II became a hard drunk. Allegedly, in his drunkenness, he gave out money to anyone who'd ask, and ordered random executions. Bela II died in 1141. He was succeeded by his underage son, Geza II, with Helena's brother Belos acting as regent until 1146. Belos was called to court by his sister during Bela II's reign. He first became a duke, then upon Geza II's succession, regent and palatine of Hungary, and after Geza II came of age, he was removed as palatine and appointed as Ban of Croatia and Dalmatia. The succession in 1141 was an opportunity for Boris to try and seize the throne with the help of Conrad III of Germany. They failed. Later, when Geza II was 16 years of age, he led an army over the river Lifa and beat the army of the Margrave of Austria, humiliating Conrad III. When the Second Crusade was declared, Boris thought he could use the moment to use the Imperial Crusaders to conquer Hungary. But either because Conrad was unwilling to help, or because Geza II bribed the Crusaders, Boris got nowhere. To escape capture, Boris joined the crusading army of the French King Louis VII, who refused to hand Boris over to Geza II, so Boris was sent on his merry way safely to Constantinople, which meant that soon Boris was leading armies to take the crown of Saint Stephen from the south, with the backing of Emperor Manuel I Komnenos. Geza II was slowly becoming overstretched. He was not only fighting against Manuel I and Boris, he fought in the east, helping his brother-in-law, the Grand Duke of Kiev, fight off pretenders to his throne, and there were constant tensions between Geza and a new Holy Roman Emperor, Friedrich I Barbarossa, each playing a complex game of diplomacy to attempt to undermine each other. But peace was soon agreed after Emperor Manuel Komnenos subdued Geza's allies, and Boris died in battle after being hit by an arrow. But still, by the end of his reign, Geza II's foreign policy was exhausting the realm's resources and causing internal strife. Geza's brothers, Stephen and Ladislav, began to conspire with the nobles against Geza, and were swiftly banished from the realm to Byzantium. Even Geza's old regent Belos was exiled for alleged conspiracy, being forced to return to Serbia, where he would later become the Grand Prince. On the 31st of March, 1162, Geza II died. he was succeeded by his son Stephen III. Immediately upon Stephen III's succession, his Byzantine-backed uncles, Stephen and Ladislav, marched into Hungary, forcing Stephen to run and find refuge in Austria. Luke, the Archbishop of Esztergom, refused to crown the pretenders as king. So Ladislav and Stephen had him locked up, and had the Archbishop of Klaić perform the coronation. First on Ladislav II, who died a year later in 1163, and then on Stephen IV. In Austria, Stephen III gathered an army, and easily overthrew his uncle, who the nobility had recognized as nothing more than a Byzantine puppet. Stephen III and Manuel Comnenos soon reached a deal to avoid all-out war. As a special provision, which we will get into next time, Manuel asked for Stephen to send his younger brother Bela, the Duke of Croatia and Dalmatia, to his court. Meanwhile, as all this grand politics was going on, the lords of Bribir, on the Dalmatian coast, were slowly building up a power base, seizing land, control over towns, and positions of power.